Yeah, and how would you say the field itself has progressed from when you first got into it to like where it is now?
The field, this is an interesting field. In some sense, there are open problems that are still open, but in some sense, things have progressed as well. One example of how things have progressed is if you look at the bandwidths or the data rates that you are able to communicate, right? Um, as a simple example, look at cellular communications, right? You guys are used to 4G and now 5G, right? But this obviously started at 1G. So if you remember, 1G was analog communications, so it was not even digital. And then 2G is when the first digital communications from a cellular standpoint came into existence, right? Then continue that with 3G, 4G. Every time there is a change in the generation, typically it's an order of like 10 years. The speeds go up tremendously. In fact, I have slides that talk about exactly what these speeds were. But if you recall, 2G, 3G, they were in the order of kilobits per second. And in 4G, it went up to megabits per second. Now in 5G, it's supposed to touch a gigabit per second connectivity from your cell phone itself. Sometimes, I mean, most of the time you don't see those speeds, but that is that is a definitely something that has changed, right? But the area that I'm interested in, the area that I work in, is communications for the military, tactical communications. There, there are some things that haven't caught up yet, in the sense that, for one main reason, which is if you look at cellular communications, it is it has infrastructure, right? You have base stations, you have uh, that are spread across in a landscape. They are connected together, and they're connected by fiber, so they can pass huge amounts of information between them. And you have the cell phones that connect to the base station, and you have a way of pushing data from one hop, right, from your cell phone to your base station, and then from there it just gets onto your to the internet or to the core network, which is fast, which is very high speed. Whereas in the military communications, you don't have that kind of an infrastructure. Especially, imagine you're a group of soldiers that are deployed in an area. This is actually a little reminiscent of some rural areas as well, where you don't have this kind of cellular connectivity, right? Like your cell phone dies when you're on a highway, uh, you know, not near any city, for example. Then you don't have any connectivity. So imagine soldiers having to operate in an environment like that. They use this mechanism called ad hoc communications or ad hoc networking. The bandwidths there, this data rates are still fairly low. On top of it, imagine a scenario where you're in the presence of an adversary that is trying to degrade your communications, right? So that kind of a scenario is where the data rates are not very high. There is a lot of dynamism. There is a lot of degradability, things like that. So those are the kind of problems that I study. Those are much harder in some sense than commercial kind of problem spaces. So in that sense, uh, things that change, usually you want to get increased bandwidths, increased data rates, right? That is one thing. But things that still are open problems are, you know, impact of the channel. The channel itself is a very random thing. You have to understand what it is. People have obviously made a lot of strides in terms of understanding and modeling the channels, but the real world is a lot more complicated than that. So there are still a lot of open problems. And if you want to sum up one question, one fundamental question that is still an open question, is that from a point-to-point communications perspective, meaning single transmitter to a single receiver, we understand everything about that problem. What is the maximum achievable data rate? What is the capacity? Is the phrase that we use. What is the capacity of that link? We understand everything about it thanks to work by Claude Shannon, who's a giant in the area of communications and information theory. But to answer the same question in the presence of in the form of a network where you have multiple nodes communicating together, that is still an open problem. And people have spent a long time, like 50 years, and still it is still an open